not know of it. In the office, he proved himself a trustworthy machine, with no opportunity of becoming anything else. His parents were dead, his kindred scattered. He lived, as for several years past, in lodgings, but it never occurred to him to think of his lot as mournful. A man of sociable instincts, he had many acquaintances, some of whom he cherished. An extreme simplicity marked his tastes, and the same characteristic appeared in his conversation. An easy man to deceive, easy to make fun of, yet impossible to dislike or despise, unless by the despicable. He delighted in stories of adventure, of bravery by flood or field, and might have posed, had he ever posed at all, as something of an authority on North Pole expeditions and the geography of Polynesia. He received his salary once a month, and today was payday. The consciousness of having earned a certain number of sovereigns always set his thoughts on possible purchases, and at present he was revolving the subject of his wardrobe. Certainly it needed renewal, but Thomas could not decide at which end to begin, head or feet. His position in a leading house demanded a good hat. The bad weather called for new boots. Living economically as he did, it should have been a simple matter to resolve the doubt by purchasing both articles. But for one reason and another, Thomas seldom had a surplus over the expenses of his lodgings. In practice, he found it very difficult to save a sovereign for other needs. When evening released him, he walked away in a cheerful frame of mind, grasping the money in his trousers pocket, and all but decided to make some acquisition on the way home. Near a Gate Circus, someone addressed him over his shoulder. "Good evening, Tom. Pleasant for the time of year." The speaker was a man of 50, stout and florid, the latter peculiarity especially marked in his nose. He looked like a substantial merchant, and spoke with rather pompous geniality. Thrusting his arm through the clerk's, he walked with him over Blackfriars Bridge, taking in the friendliest strain of things impersonal. Beyond the bridge, "Do you tram it?" he asked, glancing upwards. "I think so, Mr. Warbeck," answered the other, whose tone to his acquaintance was very respectful. "Ah, I'm afraid it would make me late. Oh, by the by, Tom, I'm really ashamed. Most awkward that this kind of thing happens so often, but could you, do you think? No, 1 sovereign only. Let me make a note of it by the light of this shop window. Really, the total is getting quite considerable. Tut. You shall have a cheque in a day or two. Oh, we can't run on any longer. I'm completely ashamed of myself. Entirely temporary, as I explained. A cheque on Wednesday at latest. Goodbye, Tom." They shook hands cordially, and Mr. Warbeck went off in a hansom. Thomas Bird, changing his mind about the tram, walked all the way home with bent head. One would have thought that he had just done something discreditable. He was wondering, not for the first time, whether Mrs. Warbeck knew or suspected that her husband was in debt to him. Miss Warbeck, Alma Warbeck, assuredly had never dreamed of such a thing. The system of casual loans dated from nearly 12 months ago, and the total was now not much less than £30. Mr. Warbeck never failed to declare that he was ashamed of himself, but probably the creditor experienced more discomfort of that kind. At the first playful demand, Thomas felt a shock. He had known the Warbecks since he was a lad, and had always respected them as somewhat his social superiors. But as time went on, had recognised that the difference of position grew wider, he remaining stationary, while his friends progressed to a larger way of living. But they were, he thought, no less kind to him. Mrs. Warbeck invited him to the house about once a month, and Alma talked with him in such a pleasant, homely way. Did their expenditure outrun their means? He would never have supposed it, but for the city man's singular behaviour. About the cheque so often promised, he cared little, but with all his heart he hoped Mrs. Warbeck did not know. Somewhere near Camberwell.